Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Music of the Week. Again, not really a lot of preamps to go through. Got 6 albums to do, so I'm going to do the albums now. Okay. We begin with Fame on Fire and their third album, The Death Card. Now, this is actually my second album by them because I listened to their debut in 2020. I had no clue they released an album in 2022. And yeah, this is their most recent offering. I'm giving this one a B. I thought this was some pretty solid. By the way, I think B's like the lowest grade in the episode. Sorry, lowest grade in the episode, but yeah. This was some pretty solid metalcore, well, more post-hardcore stuff with a mostly alternative rock vibe. It's sort of always been their thing. They've always been focused more on the flashy side of things, and I think that's evident really in the production, which is probably the best thing about the album. It's just got a really nice mix, feels very organic, boosts up the sound quite nicely. I do like the band's performance as well, lead singer, and I do have the name written here, Brian Kuznets. Um, does a pretty good job. I think he's got some charisma to him, you know? And there is a good theme of like using tarot cards, well, using tarot references at the very least to try and tell the main story of love and stuff. The problem is in Heart's Wake did a similar thing with a more serious and more well thought out message earlier in the year, so sorry if I'm on fire, you're a little bit late to the party there, mates. And I think the pacing is mostly alright. I do think it could have maybe pushed itself a little bit more in some directions. And I do feel like the riffs were also just good, you know, not really anything that tried to push itself to anything else. But I did like what I got out of it. There's some pretty good hooks on the guitar, some good drumming, and again, the mixing and the band just being cohesive is really good. I do prefer this over their debut, but I should probably listen to the second one at some point to get a third opinion, but this was still pretty solid in my opinion. Next is a debuting band titled Forever and High with their first album, Brand New Low. Now, this is a good bit of pop punk, but I have no clue how much of an album it counts as. Because there's 8 songs on it, which is, you know, a pretty good requirement for it to be a full album. But only 5 of them are original things, and the last 3 are just acoustic covers of the other songs on the album. So I don't really know how to feel about that, and I didn't listen to it, like, there's not like a deluxe thing I listened to or something, this is just the normal version I found and listened to on Spotify, and that really fucking hurt the pacing for me, but at the same time, those acoustic covers of their own songs are quite good, and the main riffs in all are quite nice as well. You know, just really good pop punky vibes. Some pretty sort of basic lyrics, but you know, I couldn't really actually find much for themes as I'm reading here actually. So yeah, just ignore this anything about the lyrics. But band works quite well together. For a debut, they show that they do have a lot of personality and energy, and they can work quite well. Production's really fucking good. Paul Aiden did it. He's a pretty well-known Australian producer, I think. So yeah, does really good shit. Riffs pretty solid as well, nicely written. The band work well together too. But yeah, I do find the whole pacing thing a bit weird, considering that half the album technically isn't even original stuff. It's just acoustic redos of their old stuff, and people who know me know that I hate it when a band covers their own music. I especially hate it when they do acoustic covers of their own music, and I especially hate it when it happens on the same bloody album. Oh, oh, that does annoy me. But I will give these guys the benefit of the doubt for a debut. Pretty solid and really, really fun. Next we go to Spain for the indie garage rock band Heinz and their new album Viva Heinz. This is their 4th album and my first. I'm giving this one a B. I thought this was I think this is the last B grade of the episode, I could be wrong about that. I thought this was pretty, like, charming and fun and sort of just, like, generally comfy sort of album to listen to. Not the comfiest album, we'll get to that a little bit later, but I really liked quite a lot of this. I like the guitar work mostly. It's got some really good melodies to it, and the band come off quite, you know, really, really charming and endearing. I do like the lyrical themes of like Young Love, but one thing I wish that they did was I wish that they sung all the songs in Spanish, because like I think only like a third of them are in Spanish and the rest are in English. But I don't know, I'm one of those people that like when I hear a band is from a different country, I like hearing them write and sing in their own native language. Maybe that's just me. You know, I really want that more because, like, hearing this sort of thing in Spanish just sounds really nice. I liked it. Band works quite well. Production's pretty good, I think. The pacing does like a little bit of urgency here and there, but it's got some good riffs. It's got some good hooks. I do like the theme, and I think the bands work quite nicely too. So yeah, I got to shout out especially lead vocalist and guitarist Carlotta Kosiels. I don't know if I'm saying the surname correctly, but really good work from these girls. I think they're all girls anyway. Next is another debut of sorts. We have the new Keith Buckley project Many Eyes and their debut album The Light Age, and this one has been getting a fair amount of fucking slandering from online music reviewers, and I'm giving it a B+. I enjoyed it. Honestly, it's just really nice to hear Keith doing anything again, you know, even though the last full thing he was on was only 3 years ago. But a lot of people are really looking forward to the new Better Lovers album, because that's where pretty much the rest of the Every Time I Die guys went to, with lead singer Greg Puciato, the lead singer of Dillinger Escape Plan. I can never figure out how to say his surname. But, you know, I like Keith a lot. I still think he's got his charisma. I think he can really scream. I think this is a more melodic, sort of rock-focused take, you know? It's sort of, kind of metalcore-y. It doesn't really have the southern sludgy influence of Every Time I Die, but, you know, Keith is still a really good performer, I think, and the rest of the band is great too. I just wish I could remember any of them, because the one of them's like, I think Jamie Jasser's involved somehow? I don't really fucking know. There's a guy named Nick Belmore as well, who I think drums for the band, but I think he also does, like, for Many Eyes, I to specify, but I think he also does, like, other things. I don't really know. But there's good riffs. I think the performances are quite nice. Production is pretty good too. The pacing does kind of start to get a little bit repetitive at points. But I will say the lyrics are probably the worst thing, because even when Keith was singing with Every Time I Die, they were a bit weird and sort of didn't really have a focus. But on this one, I don't know, it just seems a bit too simplistic on this one, and I'm not really sure why. I am so sorry I keep touching my hair in these videos, but, you know, when you look this good, you shouldn't touch your hair so much. So in that case, because I don't look good. Anyway, yeah, weird, that's all staying. I did enjoy this. I just really wish I could understand why people hate Keith now for some reason. I'm genuinely confused about that. But what I'm not confused about is that this album is quite good and you should give it a spin. I think it's better than a lot of people are saying it is, but, you know, I'm much more optimistic than most. Next we have another debut, which makes it 3 debuts in this video, which is quite impressive. We have Public Opinion and their first album, Painted on Smile. This is a punk rock sort of group from Denver, Colorado. And giving this one the highest grade of the episode, I'm giving it an A. I really enjoyed this one. I thought it had some just really honest writing. I will say the writing and the lyricism of the album is really good, mostly focused on the theme of self-doubt and just trying to find a ray of light and trying to be a bit optimistic with a shitty situation. You know, it's been a good theme this year for me, for punk music especially, and it's done quite well. Quite optimistically as well. It's got a very sort of, just a very upbeat vibe to it for the most part, you know? Really good riffs as well, just solid punk melodies on the guitar and the bass and the drums as well, really good. The band members all do a really good job. The lead singer's name is Kevin Hart, but he's not, you know, not that one. But like the lead singer Kevin Hart on this, it's really good at what he does. I also like Ian Shelton and Taylor Young's production. They're both really good at it. I will say that I feel like the mix could have been maybe a little bit more raw in some places, and I do feel as though the album's a bit too short. It's just over 25 minutes and 20 seconds. 25 minutes 22 seconds, I have the exact thing here. I did want them to push it a little bit more. It does feel like it's sort of resting on its laurels at some points, but for a debut, this was a goddamn impressive one. A really fun bit of punk rock with a nice uplifting vibe to it that you don't really get from a lot of punk rock in general. So, yeah, I can recommend giving this one a spin. And finally, we have the American indie pop / bedroom pop duo, The Softies, with their new album, The Bed I Made. This is this band's first album in 24 years, which explains why I hadn't heard of them, because I didn't know who the fuck these two were 20 years ago. Giving this one a B+, I really enjoyed it. It's just a nice, warm, cozy album. You know, the two band members involved, I don't really have the names written down, I probably should have thought of that. But I think the band produced it as well. It's just got like this very comfy vibe to it. They do a lot of really good work as well. Just a lot of really good cohesion between them. Good bouncing off each other too. And there's a minimalist sort of vibe to this. There's not really a lot of other instruments besides their guitars, I don't think. There might be a drum machine, and I think there's a little bit of bass, but it's mostly just two women and their guitars just singing about, you know, Mostly the stuff of like having a midlife, going through midlife crisis sort of things, and going through the lost friendships and relationships. But I think maybe at times it could have been more mature with those themes. I feel like it doesn't take itself super duper seriously with that. Again, that probably would have clashed with the style, but still, I don't know. And I do think the pacing, for an album with 14 songs on it, it doesn't really feel like the last three of those should have really stuck. I feel like there's just a point where it should have ended, and that just adds a few more songs. I'm just like, oh, okay, but it's a good hug of an album, I would say, and I still recommend giving it a spin if you just want to listen to something that'll just make you feel all nice and comfy. I also quite like the sort of organic vibe to the mix, and there's some really good instrumentation on it as well. Next is the official ranking system. So I'd probably say at the bottom, maybe Heinz with Viva Heinz. I just feel like there wasn't so much going on with that, but it's not a terrible album. Then Forever on High with Brand New Low, then Fame on Fire with The Death Card, then probably Many Eyes with The Light Age, then The Softies with The Bed I Made, and at the top, Public Opinion with Painted on Smile. As always, go and listen to all of these, formulate your own opinions. Best song goes to the song Passes Me By from Painted on Smile. Really good bit of punk rock, just a really good build-up and a really good chorus near the end of it too. Really like the two halves of the song. Favourite album cover goes to The Bed I Made by The Softies. I just like the art style, I just think it looks as comfy as the album sounds. It's just a really good fit. That'll about it for me though. Next thing you'll see me for will probably be that new Linkin Park song reaction tomorrow that I promised to do last week. So I'm gonna see if I can get that done. But also tomorrow, Reverence, live from Boston, Massachusetts. The arena's been made, most of the cards been sorted. Just got a few more things to iron out, and we're all good. So I'll see you all tomorrow for that. And as always, thank you for watching. You're awesome.